To define what modern philanthropy should be. Judith Roden is president of the Rockefeller Foundation.
We found many, many letters in our archives between the two of them wrestling with this question. Is what we are trying to accomplish something different than charity? And Rockefeller wrote, "We don't want to put bandages on weeping wounds. Philanthropy is about trying to solve problems at their root causes."
The foundation is still drilling down into root causes, and today's problems are big ones. Michael Berkowitz is managing director of a new Rockefeller Foundation initiative called 100 Resilient Cities.
100 years ago, 1 in 10 people lived in cities. Now, over 50% of the world's population does, and by 2050, predictions are that 3 out of 4, 75% of the world's population live in cities.
So when a city has a problem, like a hurricane or sectarian violence, it affects not thousands, but millions of people, which is where the 100 Resilient Cities initiative comes in. Here's Michael Berkowitz.
This idea of resilience, of really bouncing back more quickly, of being an adaptable organization that is able to weather unforeseen shocks and stresses, this is still a relatively new idea and certainly a new practice.
The Rockefeller Foundation is choosing 100 cities across the world and trying to help them become more resilient. They're working with city governments to create a whole new job.
The Chief Resilience Officer, you can think of him as Mayor -1, and we're going to pay their salaries for 2 years. In 20 years, we would hope that a city wouldn't run its operations without a Chief Resilience Officer any more than they would do it without a Chief of Police.
The first batch of cities to get a resilience officer, including Medellin, Ramallah, and Jacksonville, Florida, are struggling with everything from chronic inequality to rising sea levels, problems that are going to take more than a year or two to fix. And here's another advantage that philanthropy has over government. In 20 years, the Rockefeller Foundation will be around to see if its plan is working. I might even be able to check in with Michael Berkowitz and ask him, does every city have a Chief Resilience Officer? Rob Reich, co-director at Stanford Center for Philanthropy and Civil Society, says, unlike your average mayor, a foundation can't be voted out of office.
They're set up purposely to exist in perpetuity, so they have an eternal time horizon. They have endowments which are meant to exist for a long time, so you can think over the 10-year haul or the 20-year haul.
Or the 97-year haul. I'm standing outside the Cahuenga branch of the Los Angeles Public Library, just up the street from my house. Andrew Carnegie, using money from his foundation, built this and about 1,700 other libraries all across the country.
It turned out they were super popular with citizens, who then didn't turn to the Carnegie Foundation for funding of every single library across the country, but turned to their either local city or town or state to create funding, and that became just a regular part of the public infrastructure.
Reich says a few years ago, California was having trouble funding its public libraries, and there was some suggestion that maybe foundations and philanthropists should pitch in. To him, that's a step backward. The job of a foundation, he says, isn't to bail out its old successes, but to find and fund new ones. I'm Noelle King for Marketplace.
As part of our series, A Lot to Give, we built a tool on our website that will match your